Betrayal cuts deeper than any blade. Shen was on the path to success when the man he trusted most stole everything. When tragedy struck and he lay broken, that same man forced his sister into marriage, turning her into a pawn in his twisted game. But the deepest wound wasn't losing his fortune. It was discovering that the accident that crippled him and the death of his parents had been orchestrated by the very person he called family. Now fate has given Shen one final chance not to forgive, but to take everything back and make his betrayer suffer. The story begins in a hospital room where a boy lies motionless in bed. Outside, leaves wilt under the fading sun, and a single petal drifts down, landing gently on his face. His eyes snap open. Startled, he sits up abruptly, breathing hard, his chest rising and falling with panic. He looks around the unfamiliar room, struggling to comprehend where he is. It is clear from the confusion in his eyes that he is someone who has been reincarnated. He yanks the sheet away, urgently checking his legs, but his heart sinks. They are gone, reduced to lifeless stumps. His breathing grows heavier, anger flashing across his face as he demands to know the time. Suddenly, a voice calls out, trembling with emotion. His sister bursts into the room, her eyes glistening with tears. She cries with relief, saying she is overjoyed he's finally awake. She throws her arms around him and promises she will find the person who hit him with a car. She swears that his legs will be healed, no matter the cost. The boy freezes as the truth sinks in. He has truly gone back 1 year in time, to the very day of the car accident. He remembers it vividly, the moment his body was hurled into the air like a spinning top. The crushing impact as his life as a rising young billionaire came to an end. He had been destined for greatness, but that night shattered everything. A girl had rushed to save him, but the damage was already done. From that moment on, his life spiraled downward. He became a wheelchair user, his mobility gone. As he sits in bed, the door opens again. A man steps inside, addressing him by name. The boy's expression darkens. This man is someone he once trusted with his life. Chang Kai, a family friend who was like a brother to him. But Chang Kai was no savior. When the boy had been at his weakest, Chang Kai seized control of the international company he had built from the ground up. Worse, he used the boy's failing health to manipulate his sister, forcing her to agree to marry him. It was a vile bargain. In exchange for her hand, he would guarantee her brother's future and cover the hospital bills. The boy, powerless, pleaded for him to let her go. Lying helpless on the floor, he could only watch as Chang Kai pulled his sister close and kissed her, sneering as he compared the boy to a barking dog that needed to be silenced. His sister sobbed in desperation, but there was nothing she could do. That man had taken everything. Not long after, the world changed. A revolutionary game called Divine Path was released, boasting 100% realism. At first, it was only entertainment, but before long, the game's in-game currency became valuable in the real world. Then, something even more incredible happened. The game's attributes began to affect reality itself. For the boy, this should have been the perfect chance to take revenge, but in his past life, he had been too poor when the game launched. He couldn't afford the resources to level up quickly, and stronger players hunted him mercilessly. Meanwhile, Chang Kai used the money he had stolen from the company to buy the best equipment and attributes. He created a powerful guild and became an unstoppable force. One day, in his previous life, the boy had summoned Chang Kai to his home. Surrounded by explosives, he mocked the man, asking if he thought something like this could kill him. Chang Kai laughed, certain he was invincible. The boy pressed the detonator anyway, determined to take them both out. The explosion reduced the house to rubble, but when the smoke cleared, Chang Kai stood unharmed. He revealed that with Divine Path attributes, even a direct blast could not harm him. Then, with cold malice, he stomped on the boy's head and revealed the ultimate betrayal. He had orchestrated the accident that took his legs and had been behind the death of his parents. And now he planned to have a child with the boy's sister, ensuring that the family's last bloodline would carry his name. The boy screamed in fury and despair, vowing with his last breath that he would never forgive him. Now, back in the present, the boy has no idea why he has been given a second chance, but he turns to his sister and tells her not to cry. He promises that this time he will protect her and everything their family built. Most importantly, he will destroy Chang Kai. The problem is that he has been sent back after the accident. He still has no legs. His only chance lies in the launch of Divine Path. In his past life, it had taken a month before people discovered that the game's attributes could affect reality. That gives him a narrow window to prepare. His money hasn't been frozen yet, and he intends to use it. His sister notices his strange expression and asks if his leg is hurting. She moves to call a doctor, but he stops her. There is something more urgent. She asks what it is, and he tells her plainly he needs a gaming station for a divine path. She doesn't understand why he would suddenly care about a game, but before she can ask more, Chang Kai enters the room. Feigning concern, Chang Kai warns him about getting addicted to games, especially since there is still a company to manage. The boy sees through the act, realizing Chang Kai is trying to provoke him. He calmly replies that now that he is crippled, he has nothing better to do than play games. Chang Kai smirks, pointing out that Divine Path will be extremely expensive at launch. Only 100 units will be available, each costing more than 300 million. The boy says the company's money is his, and even if it cost 30 billion, he would still buy one. His sister tries to calm him, but Chang Kai waves it off. He says if the boy wants it that badly, he'll make sure he gets it. Of course, Chang Kai is secretly delighted. The more time the boy wastes in the game, the easier it will be to take the company. Pulling the sister to his side, he smirks and says she will be spending more time with him. When they are alone again, the boy instructs his sister to transfer all the company's money into in-game currency. She is shocked and asks if he has lost his mind. He reassures her that he has a plan to change their future. 3 hours later, after paying 200 million in extra shipping fees, the setup is ready in his room. He smiles. Here I go. The system appears, and for the first time since the accident, he has legs, at least in the game. He relishes the sensation of standing and walking freely. The system prompts him to choose a character name. He types in Koha Wang. Dozens of characters appear before him as the system asks him to select a class. Just as in his past life, he chooses the one he knows best, the Ranger. Because his class matches the Elven bloodline granted to him as a VIP player, he receives a special bonus. He's also given a skill book that allows him to detect enemy weak points, a technique he had mastered before. Then, something unexpected happens. As one of the first 100 players to log in, he receives a special chest. It contains a rare talent, but costs 50 million gold coins, the equivalent of $7 million. Without hesitation, he spends the money. The chest bursts open in a golden beam of light. The talent he gains leaves him stunned, an ability to evolve anything. Every item he acquires from monsters will be 1 rank higher, with a chance of being 2 ranks higher. Once a day, he can instantly upgrade an item by 2 levels, with a small chance of 3. Though it only affects items and not attributes, he knows it will make him incredibly strong. Smiling, he says, "This will change my future." Walking through the city, he knows this is perfect. While everyone else is using bronze items, he already has silver gear. Spending all the company's money was definitely going to be worth it. He is eager to enter the game and start killing monsters to obtain upgraded items. However, he has to be careful with the 24-hour ability. First, he must find something that has the potential to be evolved. With all preparations complete, he clicks on the system and the entrance to the game appears. Excitedly, he says that it is time to change his fate. The scene shifts to the starting village and he's surprised by the number of wealthy players already in the game. He thought he would be among the first, but instead he finds a crowd hunting chickens and leveling up. Others see the chickens fleeing and immediately join the chase. It looks like a competition has broken out in the village for even the smallest gains. For him, it is foolish to waste time on worthless things. He needs to go straight for a meaningful goal, such as defeating the starting zone boss and claiming the first kill reward. The system warns him to be careful when entering a wild zone, but he dismisses the message. In his mind, the only way to level up quickly is to kill dangerous monsters. Before venturing further, he checks his inventory only to be disappointed. All he has is a starter bow and basic cloth armor. There is no reason to waste his ability on such weak equipment. Still, he needs to find an advantage over the others as fast as possible. That is when he remembers that his special ability can also evolve talents. Raising his hands, he uses the evolution on himself. An aura appears with a crown of lightning, and suddenly his elven bloodline turns golden. The evolution succeeds, and it becomes the royal elf bloodline. His speed and accuracy increase sharply, but the greatest benefit is the guaranteed critical strike every 3 attacks. Watching his health bar rise, he knows this evolution was worth it. With these new attributes, it will not be difficult for him to play solo. Just then a howl echoes nearby. Looking over, he sees a level 2 forest wolf, Other adventurers are already chasing it and shouting that it will not escape. Everyone is eager to level up quickly. Shen King hides behind a tree to observe. These players are clever because they understand that grouping up to hunt stronger creatures is the fastest way forward. What they fail to realize is how realistic this game truly is. The mage in the group suddenly senses something and warns the others. Wolves always hunt in packs. A moment later, they are surrounded. The monsters leap at the group, and as soon as they're attacked, panic spreads. The pain from the bites is far more realistic than they expected. The group realizes it was a mistake to venture so deep into the forest. One of them has his head caught in the jaws of a wolf and mutters that he will see them again at respawn. After that, the entire group is slaughtered. Shen King seizes the perfect chance. While the wolves are occupied, he strikes from behind. He fires a precise arrow that pierces the wolf's head and earns his first kill. He immediately rises from level 1 to level 2 and gains experience for his elven bloodline. Along with that, he receives 5 attribute points and a piece of wolf meat. For someone playing alone, a healing item like this is extremely valuable. Of course, the wolves quickly notice him and turn to attack. Shen King glances ahead and sees that 3 of them are coming. Now that he has tested his damage output, he feels confident. He turns and starts running while activating his elven passive that doubles his movement speed. He sprints away at incredible speed. Reaching the edge of a mountain, he leaps from one ledge to another and successfully isolates the wolves. The synergy between the Royal Elf bloodline and the Ranger class proves to be perfect. He looks back and says that they do not stand a chance. To his surprise, the wolves do not chase him. Instead, they stand still staring in his direction. That is when he notices the system alert informing him that he has entered the buffalo zone. Seeing the creatures nearby, he realizes the wolves are not following because this is a high-level area. Terrified, the wolves begin to retreat. Checking the system, he notices that the buffalo here are level 5. Suddenly, someone calls him handsome. Turning around, he sees a group approaching and asking if he wants to join them. These people look suspicious. Even though there is a woman in the group, he does not trust her for a second, especially since she repeats the word handsome. When someone keeps flattering you for no reason, you already know they have bad intentions. She says they are looking for someone to join their group so they can hunt buffalo and level up faster than everyone else. The group's mage points out that the boy is only level 2 and would slow them down. Shen King is confused about why they are rejecting him. They do not even give him a chance to answer. He turns away and wishes them good luck, saying he will head elsewhere. The blue-haired guy asks if he has lost his mind trying to hunt alone. Shen King replies that he's a lone wolf and prefers to be more efficient on his own. The group insists that the next area is even more dangerous and that even with 4 members, it is risky. The chubby one asks if he knows about the death penalty. Shen King admits he is new and has never died, so he has no idea what that means. The man explains that first, you lose half your gold and your equipment gets damaged. On top of that, the pain of death is incredibly realistic. But the worst part of all is losing half of the experience you have earned. Shen King is not very impressed by this explanation, but thanks them anyway. He waves goodbye and says it was nice to learn from such professionals. The girl suggests they should help him since it is dangerous to be alone, but the mage tells her not to bother. If the fool wants to die, then let him die. Some time passes and Shen King enters a cave where he finds a skeleton on the ground. This seems to be the place he was searching for, the lair of the strongest boss in the starting zone. Suddenly, the cave wall shakes, and a creature opens its eyes. Standing before him is the level 10 giant king snake. He activates his skill to detect weaknesses, and a marker appears on the snake. The monster has 800 health points. By comparison, Shen King has 1300 health. At level 2, he should normally have only around 200. The difference comes from the Royal Elf bloodline, which gives him an extra 1000 health. With this advantage, he does not fear the fight. Bow in hand, he locks eyes with the monster as it lunges to bite. He dodges quickly and fires an arrow. The shot hits, but only deals 29 damage, far less than he hoped. A boss is still a boss. He dodges again and is thankful that his speed lets him avoid attacks. The snake is strong but slow enough for him to chip away at its health. He aims for the neck, but the monster blocks with its tail. Now it is guarding its only weak point. He decides to rely on speed and fires a volley of arrows, but the snake blocks them all. No damage is done. At last he finds an opening and lands a hit for 58 damage. It is taking longer than expected, but he is clearly faster than the snake. Suddenly the boss inhales deeply. The cave fills with smoke and poison begins draining 10 health per second. Doing the math, he realizes he cannot last long. To make things worse, the snake climbs high up the cave walls where it is harder to target. For Shen King, this is not enough to stop him. He draws and fires again. The arrow hits for 116 damage right to the neck. Every third hit is a critical strike, so the monster crashes down, taking bonus damage. He taunts the boss, asking how many more hits it can endure. The snake begins to sweat, realizing this battle is not going to be easy. Soon, the monster's down to 597 health. Shen King is confident, even as his own health continues to drop from poison. Now 1010. The snake grows more aggressive. It lashes out with its tail again and again to stop him from attacking. Shen King dodges and thinks that although the monster is clever, it still underestimates his speed. He releases another arrow and lands a critical strike for 200 damage. He notices the belly actually takes even more damage than the neck. If that is the case, the fight might be over sooner than expected. But then he sees something strange. The snake appears to be smiling. It slams the ground and a crack spreads toward him. The terrain shakes and he loses sight of the monster. Suddenly he collapses to his knees as the poison grows stronger. Now it drains 20 health per second, leaving him with only 600. This is clearly a boss designed for groups. The poison and the terrain make it nearly impossible to survive alone. He pulls out wolf meat from his inventory. He knows he must spend more than planned. The meat restores 20 health per second for 20 seconds. It is not much, but it will buy him time to climb. These 20 seconds will decide whether he wins or loses. He begins climbing the rocky walls, leaping from ledge to ledge. Step by step he rises until he finally reaches a point above the boss. He fires an arrow straight into its eye. The snake thrashes and collapses to the ground in rage. It tries to escape, but Shen King takes advantage of its exposed back. He shoots at the nape of its neck. The monster turns in terror as he prepares another elven arrow. Trembling with fear, the snake attempts to retreat, but it is too late. He fires shot after shot until the final arrow pierces through the body and bursts out of its mouth. The health bar drops to 0. The boss is defeated, and the poison fades away. The system announces that his achievement will be broadcast to the entire server and asks if he wants to hide his name. Shen King thinks for a moment, but decides he has hidden long enough. He tells the system to announce it. The world hears the message. The player Ko Huang is congratulated for being the first to defeat the starter zone boss. Back in the beginner village, people are shocked. They wonder how anyone could do that when the game has only just begun. Other groups blame themselves for being too slow. Experienced gamers cannot comprehend what has happened. Meanwhile, the blue-haired group is exhausted. They manage to kill a single buffalo and believe it was some sort of super boss. The chubby guy looks forward to the first kill reward. The others are eager to get stronger to impress the ladies. Just as they are fantasizing about compliments, the system message pops up. It announces that Ko Huang has earned 1,000 reputation points and a silver chest. The group is stunned. Someone has already killed a boss several levels above them. Shen King receives extra experience and jumps from level 2 to level 7. He gains 30 attribute points and invests all of them in agility. Without legs in real life, he always dreamed of speed. For his ranger class, agility also boosts attack power. With his stats set, it is time to check the loot. The 10 silvers the boss should have dropped transform into 10 gold coins. Other players killing buffalo only get copper. One of the items in his inventory shines with a golden glow. He wonders if it is a second evolution, but no. It is a crystal coin, a rare currency, long extinct, yet still valid with certain NPCs. He remembers hearing about it in his past life, but never saw one. Checking further, he finds a silver-ranked snake sword. Useless for a bow user, but still valuable. More importantly, he obtains silver scale armor. It grants a 300-point shield with a cooldown of 300 seconds. Normally, this armor has no special effects. Perhaps his evolution passive altered the stats. Unfortunately, it requires level 10 to use. That is when he remembers the silver reputation chest he earned. He asks the system to open it and hopes it is not another item for the wrong class. The result makes him cheer. It is the legendary skill, Arrow Rain, a powerful aerial attack that suits him perfectly. The downside is that it can only be used at level 10. Although disappointed, he's also thrilled because he will be much stronger soon. At that moment, he hears a voice in the cave. Someone is calling for help. He checks and finds a healthy-looking girl hiding. She says she entered the cave to escape the giant snake and asks if he can save her.
She had hidden in the cave to escape the giant snake. Her name was Miss Gu, and Shen King instantly recognized her as a famous NPC known for giving secret quests. He told her that the snake had already been defeated so she could leave, but instead she lifted her foot and showed him an injury. With one hand over her mouth, she asked if he could carry her. You would think Shen King would be cold and calculating, but instead he blushed like a fool. In the next moment, he was already carrying her outside. Once they were out, she gently touched his face and said she would have died if not for him. She promised that the next time they met, she would take good care of him. Her words caught him off guard. Next time? What do you mean? He asked before dropping her to the ground. She smiled slyly and said there was not much she could offer him unless he wanted her body. Teasing him further, she said he could take it if he wanted. Shen King immediately cut her off, telling her to stop because that was not what he wanted. She laughed, saying it seemed he already knew about the test. From within the mountain, she pulled out a blade and offered it as a reward. It was only a bronze dagger, and Shen King smacked it away. Glaring at her, he demanded she hand over the secret. Confused, she asked what secret he was talking about. He replied that he wanted the quest to save the 14-year-old girl who lived nearby. Shocked that he already knew about that quest, she eventually agreed, saying that if this was what he wanted, she would give him the secret class quest. She stood slowly and calmly while Shen King crossed his arms and asked why she did not just hand it over. Suddenly, she began performing a forbidden dance so dangerous it had been outlawed in 27 countries. A step to the left, a sway to the right. Her movements summoned a glowing magic circle beneath him. She warned him that the secret class test was about to begin, and he would need to pass it to receive the class. Shen King thanked her, but she told him not to be so eager. He frowned, confused, and then glanced at his system window. His eyes widened in shock. The Shadow Hunter mission. It was marked as red difficulty, and failure meant permanent disqualification. He shouted for her to stop, insisting that he was only level 7 and could not risk being disqualified forever. But Miss Gu only grinned darkly, saying, "This is the end for you." His favorability with her dropped to 0. In that moment, he realized the true way to start this quest had been to increase her favorability first. She had forced him into the mission before he was strong enough. She mocked him again, wishing him good luck but doubting he could pass. As the circle pulled him in, Shen King roared that once he got out, he would find her and her daughter and kill them both. The magic circle vanished from the cave and reappeared in the sky above a vast desert. Shen King was hurled to the ground. The system announced that the test had begun. This was his only chance and he had to give it everything. Suddenly, he heard something nearby. Looking down, he saw sharp, tooth-like structures emerging from the sand. 4 more appeared around him, and he realized he was standing inside a monster's trap. He leapt into the air just as a massive creature lunged upward to devour him. Activating weakness detection, he saw the target marked right in the center of its mouth, a level 5 elite sandworm. Level 5? Easy enough, he thought, but its health pool told a different story. 2,000 horsepower. Even for a low level, that was a terrifying amount. He fired an arrow directly into its mouth, 130 damage. Fortunately, outside the sand, the creature was slow. The sandworm rose high into the air and lunged again, but Shen King sidestepped, letting it crash into the ground with devastating force. The impact alone proved that being caught would mean certain death. The sand shifted again. The monster was slower to emerge this time, and Shen King realized he could not keep tracking it underground. He needed higher ground. In the distance, he spotted a stone pillar. It was the perfect vantage point. He ran toward it, closing the gap. Just as he neared the base, the monster burst from the sand again. Anticipating this, Shen King dodged back and loosed 2 arrows. One struck for 260 damage, the other for 130. The sandworm writhed in pain, but it was not enough to stop it. Suddenly, the creature spat a stream of sand at him. The problem was that he was midair, unable to change direction. He shielded his eyes with his arm, but still lost 50 hit points. His vision blurred by half, and his accuracy dropped by 30%. He hit the ground hard, cursing. Blinking through the haze, he wiped at his eyes, but then he sensed movement from behind. Rolling forward, he narrowly avoided the next attack. At least he landed against the pillar, giving him a chance to recover. The sandworm burrowed again, but Shen King was no longer afraid. Its attack pattern was obvious. 10 seconds later, the blindness faded. His vision cleared, and with the pillar in front of him, he felt ready. He smirked as the ground trembled. Come on then. The sandworm lunged, but this time Shen King leapt onto the pillar, calling it an idiot. The beast tried spitting sand again, but from his new vantage he easily dodged. He fired another arrow, landing a clean strike for 260 damage. The creature froze. Shen King narrowed his eyes and wondered aloud if it really only had 2 attack patterns. If that's the case, then I'll end it right now. He dove toward its gaping mouth, arrows drawn. Dodging its bite, he unleashed 3 consecutive shots. Preparing his final strike, he declared, "It's over." The last arrow struck for 130 damage. The sandworm shrieked and collapsed into the desert. At last, the monster was dead.